Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome to the April Power Talk. We have Sarah Thomas with us today and Jason Ralls. And just a few housekeeping items. We are recording, as you probably just heard. If you could just keep your phones or computers on mute out, and we definitely want there to be questions when during the at the end, and probably during too. Feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll have folks answer them. So I'm gonna let Kane take it from here.
Hello, thank you, Meg. Thank you, everybody. I would imagine we're going to get a few people showing up late here. I know we have a lot of people here in town in Phoenix at Argentum, so I know it's a busy week for everybody, but thank you, everyone, for taking the time. This is the April 30th edition of Power Talks, where good people connect. It's an extra special edition of Power Talks hosted by myself, Kane Marshall, the president, and I like to call myself the point guard of Team Good People. And we also have the all-star team member and tech expert, Sarah Thomas, on the call today, joining us, hosting the call for us as well. Before I kick this thing over to the experts, Sarah, I need to give a huge shout out and thank you to Human Good for sponsoring our transformation tank this year. On this call, we're going to discuss how important this sponsorship is to and for Team Good People. Special thank you to Nick Lindberg from Human Good, Chief Technology Officer. I hope to see you on here today, sirs. Also, special thank you to Dan Ogus, COO, Philip Chung, Vice President of Healthcare Services. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. If you could please kick this off, Sarah, we'd love to hear from you about the transformation tank that we have coming up late June.
Great. Thanks, Kane. Thanks, everyone. I'm also at Argentum and completely understand that I've been with a bunch of startups as well as operators and investors who have said, please record this because I can't make it right now. So I am not disappointed in the small attendance and super happy, Jacob, that you've joined us. I am looking forward to recording this because I know it'll be reviewed later and we'll get tons of questions after, as we did last time. But I'm so excited to present the Transformation Tank again. It's a really wonderful event that brings together the best and the brightest to solve the greatest challenges that we're seeing in aging and our aging experience. And you know, I want to talk a little bit today about kind of the landscape and what is hot in age tech right now, and then get into why would you apply as a startup? Why would you want to become a member of and be able to pitch in front of this great audience at the Transformation Tank? We'll talk a little bit to Jason also about his experience as the winner at the last Transformation Tank, and also how we're maturing as a service, as a product for the Transformation Tank. As you heard, Human Good is a sponsor this year, and we're able to have a great support system from them, but there's also immediate value for all of the operators who come join us, as well as the investors who participate, and just really the partners that come to the event and to the summit, the networking opportunity that exists, as well as really seeing kind of the newest things out there, and how we design the Transformation Tank. So you're seeing things kind of first and foremost, and not just at conferences, because we're bringing them directly to you. So for the Transformation Tank, you know, it's helpful to know, I think, about what we call age tech. What does that mean? It's a newer category, although I've been doing it for nearly 20 years. It used to be just health tech or hospitality, or now we're fintech or insure tech. And now really anything that touches the aging experience and how we're improving the aging experience, from prevention and wellness, and fitness and exercise, to end-of-life care planning and supporting people in their end of life, to care coordination, staffing and staff efficiency, we know is a huge issue still. And so we're looking at how are we creating better efficiencies with our staffing at every level, really every assistance possible. So I'm an occupational therapist by clinical background. I look at all sorts of technologies from the ADL perspective, like feeding and eating and dressing and toileting, to the IADLs, medication management and transportation. How are we looking at each of these and improving that experience? So all of these fall under age tech. Cognition, of course, we have a lot of operators that we work with, the providers that come to our events and the Transformation Tank, and they're in the memory care side and supporting those with dementia. or even smart home. And how are we keeping people home longer in their home of choice? And that could be in our residential communities and in our supportive communities. But how are we keeping them independent and actively engaged in their days and in their lives and in their lifestyle? We know social isolation is an issue for everyone at every age, and especially as we age and our circle shrinks a bit and we experience loss. So how are we keeping people socially engaged and stimulated and engaged in meaningful, purposeful activity? So, some of these are just a bit of the categories that we're looking at for applicants for startups that are coming into the transformation tank. Certainly things like specifically for senior living and senior care, creating better efficiencies for workflows, creating better experiences in the homes that we provide, in the care that we provide, in the hospitality, in the connections, and in the community. So these are categories that investors and operators are looking at to improve their outcomes, their efficiencies, and their experiences with residents and with prospective residents and families. But we are also seeing a lot of startups do things at every phase in the aging continuum. And so we're attracting really anyone that touches that aging experience and how we can improve the quality of that experience through these amazing startups facing these challenges and supporting the growth of opportunity out there. So the transformation tank, we were looking at the population and the group that is attracted to coming to Good People. And looking at Good People, we have amazing operators that are super innovative, like Human Good, and seeing all the technology that they're adopting to improve every touch point, from company culture to engagement with their residents, just experience overall. They're really forward thinking. And taking companies like that and other operators who have certainly joined us, and LCS and several others. I'm sure I'm missing. Terry Rogers can't be missed also. We have to name him in there. All these guys do so much work to look at what is the best and brightest out there. Who should we partner with? How should we engage with new technologies and with new solutions? And we have folks like Siegler and others who invest at every stage, angel investment to investment banking and venture capital, lots of a range of what we look at for adopting new technologies, acquiring new technologies, and partnering. So we have advanced groups as well coming that they were a startup, they were an age tech startup. Now they're really successful in their market, maybe either raised a lot of capital or highly revenue generating. And so they're great partner opportunities to be able to say, let's integrate these solutions, not have single point solutions. Let's take a look at how we can integrate our data, integrate our workflows, create better coordination and collaboration to bring really meaningful solutions to the market. So these kind of categories come to the events that Kane and Meg and the team hold. I've been fortunate to be a part of it for a few years now, but taking a look at how do you have meaningful conversation, not just on stage as you're pitching, but how are you having that conversation together in the room, over a meal, over a shared experience, to say, how are we bringing these solutions to market together? And what are your real pain points? And as a startup, when you're building a product, you need to know your end user. And sometimes you create something or build something because you had a grandmother who fell and you think now this is the way you have to solve that problem, without necessarily looking at the full landscape or understanding all of the pain points or all of the stakeholders involved. I advise and invest in a lot of age tech startups globally. As I'm sitting on their board, as I'm working with them closely, I'm looking to say, okay, this was a great idea to start, but it has to evolve to truly understand every touch point. Are you disrupting someone's workflow in their environment at a senior living organization where you were really well intended with this product for the resident, but you had no idea how to actually implement or scale within senior living? And how are you looking at the operator's brand exposure or risk exposure? If you're giving them information they can't process or use, then is it really the right approach to bringing your product to market? And it's not, like I just mentioned, it's not that there isn't a need. All those categories that I mentioned are super important, that we bring solutions to the market to improve them. but are we bringing them in the right way? The only way we can make sure that those products are brought to market in a really meaningful way that impacts lives the way we intend is to have the right partners at the table. So as you're building a product, do you have the resident's voice building it with you? Do you have the caregiver, the paid or family caregiver at the table, understanding how they would utilize the data or information that's coming from your product, or how it's used within their daily routine so that it's not disruptive, that it's more inclusive in what they experience, and so it brings value and joy and delight. And are you able to do that alone in a room with an engineer and a product developer and a marketing guy? Probably not. You need to bring the stakeholders to the table with human-centered design. And so a lot of my advisory work is all about how are we bringing the right people to the table. Transformation Tank does just that. If you're able to get a slot to be able to pitch at the Transformation Tank, it's not like every other pitch where you're coming in and you're just pitching, and if you win, great. If you don't win, you get no value out of it. If you come to the Transformation Tank, you are in a room with operators, investors, and partners, as I mentioned, in a way that it really, you win just by coming and just by being with them, because it's so curated. Kane and his team do a great job of just curating an experience so that you really are talking through, does your product resonate? Does your messaging resonate? Did you offend someone with a word you said in your pitch deck? Is your product useful to us? Is your experience actually helpful? And so the Transformation Tank is really above and beyond just a pitch competition with a monetary prize. And we're super happy that Human Good has come in and added a prize to this level of our engagement. There will be a monetary prize this year. But it's above and beyond that. You really get experience with a group of people in the room who can guide you and direct you with product development, market analysis, and understanding your growth strategy. So the startups in the room, obviously I just mentioned their value, but also just being in the room as an operator, as an investor, all of the people who want to participate and come, and join us in June, I highly recommend it. It's one of these experiences you make lifelong friends. I saw Eric join, so thanks, Eric. Already major shout out to Ziegler. They're, lifetime supporter of good people, and with good people, just bringing really good people to the table, really good people to say, how are we approaching the challenges we face every day? And how are they similar to each other's challenges? And how might they differ? And how might we approach them in a different way together? So it's peer-to-peer communication on taking on great challenges, but also looking at new solutions that we might not see in the market yet, but we could support getting into the market in the way we want them to be, and supporting them at an early stage. Maybe, for instance, with Eric and his team, it might not be appropriate for Ziegler linkage yet to invest in maybe the phase that these companies are in. Maybe if they're a little bit too early for their investment thesis, or myself, even at Age Tech Capital, we're looking at Series A and above. Hey, maybe you just raised a friends and family round, and you have a product, you have an MVP, you have a client that you're starting to work with. You might not scale across everyone's portfolio yet, but you have something great. Our criteria, and Meg will share it out at the end as well, but the criteria for applying is really an earlier stage company, so that we can help to guide where the product should go, how the product should be placed in the market, and we could support you in a meaningful way, before you have raised a ton of money, and have a clear direction and path to growth. But by getting to see us early, and the providers and investors getting exposed early, we build our pipelines early. We want to know what's out there, what's improving. What are the experiences that people are having with the companies and with the products, so that you are teed up for later investment with the larger venture funds and other sources of capital. So this is a great opportunity for the operators to see what's new and exciting out there, seeing who they can pilot with. If you look at Human Good, for instance, I mentioned how Nick and his team are just, and Dan, everybody's really innovative. They take on new technologies for better efficiencies, better outcomes, better positioning in the market. And they want to help to sponsor this because they're really excited to influence the market and bring more solutions that they can get a hold of early and help to co-develop and support and pilot and be able to bring to market with them in a meaningful way. And so we're seeing more and more operators like that. And if you want to come to a conference where you're not just hearing people speak constantly at you, but really collaborate together on ways that we can coordinate and support each other as we're growing solutions in the market, and as we're facing these challenging headwinds that we do face as operators and as clinicians and as investors, but together we come up with solutions together. So I'm going to pause for a minute before we talk a little bit more about specifically like the application process and that kind of thing. But I'd love to hear, Jason, you're on the phone today or on the video today, and I'd love to hear your experience. You did win last year, which means you went through rigorous questioning and not only the pitch, but lots of scrutinizing as well, just to hit the criteria to win. Could you tell us a little bit about your product that won, and also just your experience with the transformation tank?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having me, and I really, obviously, I'm happy that we won. That's everybody likes winning, but I think it goes a little deeper than that, like some of the things you were saying. But in terms of attendance, so actually Valerie, our CEO, is the one who went and did all of the hard work and the winning. I just get to enjoy the bask in the glow of her efforts, but I will attempt to bask effectively and productively. But it was, again, it was a lovely experience. And I should back up a little bit and talk about the product EDEM. So, of course, I'm with, Eugenia as well. We do a lot of products and a lot of age tech and a lot of things for, help people take care of people. But EDEM is really specifically, a digital smart clock for, digitalizing and optimizing the interactions between, caregivers and the cared for and family members as well. And it's a lovely device, but to me, I think it comes back to like really a single word as far as the benefits, like you were speaking about resonating. So I think the resonance is really the thing. Like from the transformation take where we were able to win, but also the talk that happened afterwards, talking to people about it. It was a power talk much like this, just the immediate resonance that you get with the market. Like you can spend a lot of time and energy trying to find if you have a good product market fit, but just going into an environment like that with all these seasoned operators who know exactly what they need and be able to put your proposition forward and immediately see the resonance and see that this is something that's going to work and it's going to be effective and going to get that that appeal. Like it is definitely worth the energy invested, because again, I can think of dozens of different ways you can try to figure that out, but getting in a room full of quality people like that, I think is hard to beat.
Awesome. I'm glad you had that experience. It was really, I liked helping to select, and then also, of course, just put together the judging panel for last year, and just watching the excitement in the room really for all the pitches. But then, okay, what next? You pitched, now I want to talk to you more. And really, I have ideas, I have thoughts, I want to share them out with you to improve what you're doing and see how I can help. It's a really helpful group. It's really well titled as Good People, because it is just good people in a room really helping to do good for each other, with each other. So I'm glad you had that experience.
Absolutely.
So I know we've had a lot of questions about what makes a good pitch and who should apply. So I'll tackle a little bit, because I'll do the coaching for the folks who do apply and who are selected prior to coming. Just be prepared that your pitch, if you are selected, you should be able to talk about your team. Investors invest and providers work with people. This is a people business, and people want to really understand there's a multidisciplinary, diverse perspective on the team. So understanding as a startup to be able to present your team well, that you've had some market validation. What do you know about the market? What can you do to position yourself well in the market? Be able to articulate what your product is, what it does, what the intention is around it, so people are really clear what that MVP is at least, and the impact you're intending to make. Are you improving quality of life? Is it really an industry-wide impact? Is it creating efficiency? Is it driving revenue? but the impact on the human experience is most important there. So really, what are you doing to make impact? And then do you have a business model? So we want to all do good in the world, but we can also do well by doing good. And so we can do well by building businesses that can scale further and reach more lives and improve more lives. And so that's really important as well, that we're looking at the business model. So these solutions really do make it to market. And that's not just, people always ask us, for those who invest, of, why do you pass on something, or what's your selection criteria? And a big part of it is not that you just need return on investment, but you need impact to be made. You want to touch more lives and scale a solution into the market. So think about that. We'll give that criteria written out to any of the winners. I know we'll leave room for questions too, but Meg, did you want to talk a little bit about this year's just entry criteria for the application for any startups who might be interested? I know there's a lot at Argentum today who have already asked, can we apply? Do we qualify? So maybe you want to remind the audience who the applicants can be.
Yes. Thanks, Sarah. So the applicants or the criteria include the following: must have at least one MVP in the market, or at least an MVP in the market. And by the way, I learned a while ago that MVP is not most valuable player, it's minimum viable product. And at least one paying customer or pilot initiative accompanied by outcomes data. Also, you cannot have raised more than $5 million, and you, of course, must be available on site to pitch on June 26 or 27 in Ouray, Colorado. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Which is a little piece of heaven if you have not been. I know Kane obviously can speak highly of it, but that's his stomping ground, so he's a little biased. And for the rest of us who've had the pleasure of going, it is absolutely a gem and worth the trip to get there. It's really stunning, beautiful countryside.
It is.
Thank you, Sarah. So the nickname of our town, Ouray, Colorado, it's between Telluride and Durango, but the nickname of the town is Switzerland of America. And it truly lives up to the nickname. It's a spectacular little town and place, and it just so happens to be second home to me and a perfect place to host these good people retreats. So if you've been before, we welcome you back. If you haven't been yet, please come and join us.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions? Jacob, do you have anything that you'd like to add or ask?
Yeah, I would, I was hoping to make it to Ouray this year. Unfortunately, I'll be in Des Moines, which is the Switzerland of the Midwest. So,
okay.
But that being said, how else can we as operators support these efforts? I'm sure, I know it sounds like a lot of the tech development process, trying to make sure it's compatible, where it can integrate into community operations pretty efficiently. And
Yeah.
when you're looking for that operator perspective, do some of these companies need people on advisory boards? What else can we do to help?
Awesome. Thank you. That's a really great question. And we're building community here. It's not just about the event. And so just because you can't attend in person, like these power talks, there's just continued value before and after them as well. And so that's a really great point. A couple of things you can do. One, if you're working with anyone because you happen to be piloting something, trying something, utilizing something you like, and they meet this criteria, please let that startup know the application. We'll send you the link after, so you have it. You could forward it to them. Let them apply. Let them get kind of engaged in the transformation tank itself, because that's helpful. We also can follow up with you specifically around the transformation tank. We would like to be able to offer not just in-room advisory and support, but the winners additional connection in with operators who it would at least be willing to take a call with them, to do an advisory call or do a consulting call with them, do a review of what their product is and give them advice on how you might be able to help. Or if the applicants, those who are selected to pitch, even if they're not one of the winners, but if they're just someone that you're interested in from those pitches to look at for your own operations, because it's a goal that matches something you're looking for, then we'd love to foster that introduction for you outside. And yes, they might want you on their advisory board. They may just want you to, we love the idea of pulling together a focus group, and it doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. It could be your residents or your, resident council or your staff or whatever that touch point is, and offer them a chance to play with it, offer them a chance to give feedback. The best feedback is the, non-solicited, here, try it and give me your honest opinion. And these early stage startups, should welcome anyway, the kind of candid feedback that helps them improve at rapid rates. So there, you may also just say, hey, we're looking for this type of solution. I'm interested in looking to scale them. And you may actually want to utilize the service that they're providing. They are advanced enough there that you could purchase them and utilize the service. So that might just be one pathway, but sales are not the only pathway. There's lots of ways that you can help to engage and to pilot and support. So we'll send you the link. We'll also send you, we can send you the finalists who will be pitching, so you can see those. We'll let you know after who the winners are, so if there's anything you want to engage. And Kane will follow up with you after this too, in case you want to offer an advisory hour as one of the winning packages. We could, utilize that as you don't have to be on site. We can just offer it to the winner, and then you'd be able to provide that after. No pressure, but those are just ways to engage.
Great, thank you.
Any other?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good for now. Well, this is recorded, and so certainly I know a lot of people were busy midday today, but had interest in finding out where we were at with the transformation tank and how to get involved. Hopefully you can join us in June at the event itself. But as Jacob mentioned, great question. There's a lot of ways to get involved with good people along the way, and also be a part of the transformation tank success, and certainly engage with those startups, which would be thrilled if you can do, even if you can't attend. So, Kane, do you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, I think we're all set. The newsletter came out today. More information on the next Power Talks, the next retreat, everything we moving with Kane. A lot of stuff going on with Team Good People. Lots of ways to get involved. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Great job, Sarah. Thank you, Jacob. Nice to see you. Eric, Jason, good job. Thank you, Meg.
Great.
Talk to everybody
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Jason. Have a good one.